What's up guys, my name is Matthew, and today I'm going to be giving you a non-spoiler review of Blake Crouch's newest novel, Upgrade. Alright, by just way of background, if you're new to my channel, I don't read sci-fi. I'm much more of a thriller, mixed with some romance, literary fiction, sprinkled with fantasy. Sci-fi is probably my least read genre. That being said, the sci-fi books that I have read are both by Blake Crouch. I have read Dark Matter and Recursion. So when I heard that Blake Crouch is coming out with a new book, Upgrade, I decided I wanted to read it. It comes out July 12th, 2022. I was somehow lucky enough to get an advanced copy from NetGalley. This is gonna be a short video. All I wanna do in this video is give you a synopsis, tell you the strengths of the book, my critiques, compare them to the other two books, just so you have an idea of what to expect going into this book, whether it's worth the hype and whether you should invest in going into this book. All right, so if you know nothing about this book, or if you know nothing about Blake Crouch is a very famous sci-fi author who's really good at, in my opinion, dumbing down the science for people like me who are not sciencey people. Like the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's about as sciencey as I get. So he does a good job of making you feel smart, but really he's dumbing it down. And I think active sci-fi readers probably read Blake Crouch's book and are like, this is so simple. This is, not interesting. But I think for us non-sci-fi readers, it's a fantastic way to get a little sprinkle of sci-fi. If you know nothing about this book, it is about a guy named Logan Ramsey, and he's living in a not so distant future where science has evolved to the ability to alter people's DNA in their genes. And these alterations can result in, extra strength, heightened senses, better minds, smarter. You can remember things that you thought you could never remember from books you read 20 years ago. So we're living in a time where this happened, and it also has become illegal. I'm not going to get into the reason why it became illegal, but we're living in a world where it's possible to alter your DNA, your genes, but it's illegal. And we follow Logan Ramsey, who actually had his DNA altered not by his choice. Again, I'm not going to go into too much information on that, but he starts, being able to have a superpower mind, more strength, more acuity, knows what's going on, and he, is kind of freaked out because he doesn't know why he's experiencing this. And the book kind of follows, his journey of getting these superpowers, figuring out why he was targeted, figuring out, what's going on. Yeah, that's about really all you need to know is that, Logan Ramsey's intentionally, but unintentionally on his part, is getting these superpowers, and he doesn't know why he was chosen to get them. And we're following his story throughout this time. I like the book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Some critiques of this book is that I felt like it was rushed at the end. And that being said, if you watch my videos, I do not like a dragged out book. But for this one, we were at the point where it was the end of the book, and I was like, oh shit, we're at the final scene where the book is ending. Maybe that means the book is so well written that I got really invested in the book and, time flew by. But I did feel like there were parts where it could have been a little bit flushed out. Another critique I have is that Logan Ramsey being chosen to get this altered DNA is intentional. It's on the back of the book. I'm not spoiling it for you. I'm not gonna tell you why it's intentional, but it is intentional. The way he was exposed to this gene altering system to me, it felt lucky. It felt that anyone else could have got exposed in this situation, but the book just Logan Ramsey happened to be at the right place at the right time. And I kind of struggled with that because what if someone else would have been exposed? The entire the plot of the book would have fallen apart if someone else was exposed and not Logan Ramsey. And when you read the book, you'll see, unless they change it, when Logan is exposed to this, substance that'll change his DNA, it was lucky. He was at the right place at the right time. It could have been A or B or C who were exposed, but he was at the right place at the right time. Maybe I missed something where they explain why he was at the right place at the right time, but from what I remember reading this book, he just got lucky. And for me, I had some, this whole book falls on him being exposed and the intentional aspect of Logan Ramsey being exposed to this gene-altering substance. So I had some struggles with that. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just something I picked out and I kind of, nagged at me. I didn't really buy it. And like I said, it's also a little rushed. But, thinking about it, I'm kind of happy that I didn't feel like it was dragging on. I read it in 2 days. I flew through it. It was a great plot, but nothing dragged on, and I kind of liked it. But I can see people reading this book being like, oh, this is rushed. There needs to be more fleshed out sections. So, take that as you will. Maybe it's a critique for some people, not a critique for others. Moving into strengths. One of the strengths, and you might actually consider this a critique, is that I thought this book was actually quite simple on the science-y area compared to Dark Matter and Recursion. I mean, you know, you're dealing with gene changing, and obviously I know nothing about that, and most of you will know nothing about genes and genotypes and phenotypes, and it goes into that kind of discussion, but for the most part, you really just have to understand, okay, we live in a world where you're able to alter your DNA, and that's about as sciencey as it gets, and it's really not hard to comprehend. If you remember, if you've read these books deal with time travel, multi-dimensional, and I remember reading these books and being like, I'm having a great time, but I don't know what the fuck is happening, because my brain is too simple, you know, like I can't comprehend what Mr. Crouch is talking about, but still a good time. These books, I mean, I understood what was going on. You know, when he would lay out, this gene does this, I was just like, okay, Blake, I'm gonna take your word for it, because I don't know anything about genes. But other than that, it was pretty simple, not hard to comprehend. So for me, that's a strength. For others, I can see people reading this book and being like, this book was too simple. It didn't have the same sci-fi elements that I was looking for. So for me, it's a strength. It might be a critique for you. What I think is the strongest part of this book is the little references to the future. So this book is set, I would estimate, probably 40 to 50 years in the future, maybe a little less. And the reason I'm estimating that is because there's references, pop culture references to potential wars or terrorist attack. I'm not going to tell you about them because I was asked not to spoil anything and not to quote the book. It says it on the first page when you receive an advanced reader's copy. Some of them, when they were like pop references, I would like smile and be like, oh wait, that was good, huh? Because he would just reference a pop culture reference but in the future, and it makes sense because this is likely going to happen one day, but it obviously didn't because we're, you know, now. That doesn't make any sense. But you'll see what I'm saying when you read the book. Sometimes they were about terrorist attacks or wars that are coming in the future, and it would send like a shiver down my spine because I was like, oh God, like especially in today's climate, I was like, this could so happen at any moment. So that was kind of scary. And at the same time, I was like, is Blake Crouch a time traveler? Is he trying to warn us? Because, you know, I was like, ooh, this is also realistic. And the book it was like little irrelevant antidotes that he would just sprinkle in. And I just loved it because it made me like, oh shit, is this really what's gonna happen in 40 to 50 years? And I enjoyed that part of it. I think this book did a better job than the other two books at having like a central message. This book is a clear message. The ending of this book I loved. You know exactly what the message is. I'm not gonna tell you the message because that might be considered a spoiler. But the ending of this book was just so strong, made me like really think, it made me kind of emotional in the sense that like, life is interesting. And this book had so many antidotes on the human experience, and I wish I had a hard copy so I could underline and quote and do all of that, but obviously I read it on my Kindle because I just had a digital copy. But this book had so many just like powerful lines, and I thought it was just so well written, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I thought that it wasn't a 5-star. I enjoyed it, but it's not a book that I'm like, oh my God, changed my life. That being said, I think most of you will like it. My only concern for readers of Blake Crouch is that they will find this book to be a little simple compared to other books. And that might not be a problem for you because it wasn't a problem for me, but I think for some people they will critique that, and I think some people will think that it's a little too rushed. But, you know, be it as it may. As for where I would rank this in comparison to his other 2 books, I still think I'm gonna rank Dark Matter first. This book, I just loved it. It gave me all the feels, it blew my mind, and I just adored it. So I think that this book is gonna be first. I think Upgrade's gonna come in the middle, and I think Recursion is gonna be the one I like the least. I still loved Recursion. It was just Recursion at the end. I remember it being very, very repetitive. And this dealt with like multi-dimensionals. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know where we were and what dimension, and it kind of lost me at parts. So I think that's why this one's gonna, you know, come at the end. But it was still a good book, and I still recommend it, especially if you like the other 2 books. I hope this was helpful. I wanted the video to be short and sweet. You hit the high points, hit the low points. Should you read it? I think you will enjoy it. I already know this is gonna win the Goodreads Choice Award for sci-fi because it's Blake Crouch, and us non-sci-fi readers are gonna eat it up and think it's the greatest thing ever. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know if you wanna read it. Let me know if this video was helpful so I can release more advanced reader copy reviews in the future, and I will see you guys in another video soon.